Today, the impossible just happened in space. An object from outside our solar system split in two perfectly. One side disappeared, and now the other side is sending signals straight towards Earth. Scientists are calling this the scariest discovery in human history. And by the end of this video, you will see why 3I Atlas may not just be a comet, it may be a living thing. Stay tuned, because what happens next will blow your mind if you are fascinated by the mystery of 3I Atlas and want to see more amazing cosmic stories. Hit that like button and let the universe know you are watching. Every click helps keep the search for the unknown alive. Comment below and let me know where you are watching this video from. I want to see what corners of the world are witnessing this with me. You see, for more than 4 decades, I have been deciphering the deepest laws of the universe, from gravity, quantum mechanics, to the very structure of space-time. I used to think I had seen every strange thing the universe could offer. But then, just 11 hours ago, an event involving the three-eyed map caused my entire perception to collapse. The object did not explode, did not crumble under pressure like any other celestial body. Instead, it split into neatly, precisely, perfectly, as if it were designed to do so. No debris, no physical chaos, just a smooth, pure cut that could not have been the product of nature. When the first signal from NASA rang out, I thought it was a joke, but data from Chile, Hawaii, and the European Space Network all confirmed the same thing. The three-eyed map had indeed split, and then the unthinkable happened. Half of it disappeared. Not drifting, not obscured by planets or sunlight, but completely gone. Telescopes, radar, deep space scanners all picked up, no trace, as if the part had been erased from existence. You have to understand that humanity can track an object the size of a basketball from thousands of miles away, can see galaxies being born more than 13 billion years ago. And now we have lost an object the size of a mountain. The question is, what could have done that? An unknown form of energy or technology beyond our imagination, because there is no law of physics that allows an interstellar body to split apart so precisely and then disappear without a trace. This is not natural. This is intentional, controlled, calculated, and that's what creeps me out the most. Maybe someone or something is watching us from the darkness of space. 48 hours before the separation, 3I Atlas was still on a perfectly stable orbit, obeying every known law of physics. Its orbit was tracked by international observatories down to the millisecond without any unusual fluctuations in velocity, orientation, or gravitational deflection. Everything was normal until the inexplicable happened. Without warning, without any signal interference or spectral changes, Atlas began to accelerate. And this was not a small fluctuation or technical error. It accelerated at a rate far beyond any known value in celestial mechanics, even breaking all the inertia equations currently used by astrophysics, normally as a celestial body. Like a comet or asteroid moves away from the sun, its gravitational pull weakens, causing it to slow down. But Atlas exhibited the exact opposite behavior. The further it moved from the source of the solar system, the more it accelerated. Data collected from a network of telescopes in Chile, Hawaii, and the European Space Observatory showed that its acceleration increased exponentially over a short period of time with almost zero statistical uncertainty. In particular, there was no sign of reactive propulsion, no ionized gas streak, no plasma tail, no spectral fluctuations that would indicate escape or collision. Atlas accelerated in absolute silence. Astrophysicists at Harvard The California Institute of Technology and the European Space Physics Center immediately went to work. They simulated every possible possibility: the gravitational influence of giant planets like Jupiter, the effects of interplanetary magnetic fields, the solar wind, and even the hypothesis of escaping gas inside the hollow structure of the object. However, all the models led to the same conclusion: there was no suitable natural explanation. The collected data showed no physical signs that humans knew could cause this kind of acceleration. This event forced scientists to confront the even more terrifying possibility that Atlas might not be a natural object. The initial stability, the intentional acceleration, and especially the perfect separation behavior that followed, all suggested a form of extremely advanced technology, far beyond what we currently understand. Could it be some kind of interstellar probe designed to disguise itself as a celestial body, or an observation device sent by another civilization operating on energy principles unknown to us? If these hypotheses are correct, then 3, I-Atlas is not just an astronomical mystery, but a message, a reminder that humanity is not alone in the universe, and that someone may be watching us quietly, precisely, and far beyond the understanding of current science. And then something even stranger appeared. 36 hours before the split, all observatories around the world monitoring 3I Atlas simultaneously recorded an unprecedented phenomenon. From the core of the object, a steady stream of energy pulses was emitted, not random explosions or ordinary natural radiation. These were perfect pulses of energy, repeating exactly every 11 minutes, calculated to nanosecond accuracy. No natural process could produce such precision. Even neutron pulsars, the objects considered to have the most stable rotations in the universe, always have microscopic fluctuations, inevitable déviations over time. But Atlas was different. Its signal was absolutely precise, like the heartbeat of a giant machine reverberating through endless space. When scientists realized what they were witnessing, the entire research community was thrown into a state of intense debate. One camp believed that this could be a never-before-observed physical phenomenon, a form of energy reaction deep in the core of the object that humanity had never known. The other camp, which included many experts in quantum energy and remote sensing techniques, believed that this level of precision regulation could only be the product of intelligence, not random nature. The pulse patterns sent out followed a repeating cycle with a clear mathematical structure like a coded signal. When comparing this pulse sequence with artificial signals created by humans, the similarity in stability and waveform was striking. If those pulses were indeed controlled, if the previous acceleration was also intentional, then 3, I-Atlas was not simply an object passing through the solar system. It was announcing its presence. That opened up a shocking possibility. Perhaps we had just witnessed the communication of an entity, not of Earth. Perhaps Atlas was sent not just to observe, but to send a signal, a greeting, or even a warning. Whatever the case, the perfection of the pulse sequence exceeded the limits of nature, leaving us with a possibility no one dared to admit. The universe might be responding to us. 18 hours before the separation, a phenomenon occurred that silenced even the most skeptical scientists. Under constant surveillance from observatories from South America to Asia, 3, I-Atlas's shape began to change. At first, the change was subtle, just a slight shift in the curvature of the light, a faint elongation of the spectral contour. But after just 2 hours, the change became undeniable. The object gradually transformed from a sphere to a cylinder, symmetrical, smooth, and suspiciously purposeful. In 2 hours, a mass thousands of feet in diameter had reshaped itself, a process that was simply physically impossible. No matter in the known universe could have sustained such a rapid restructuring, whether rock, ice, or metal, all would have been torn apart by the compressive and stressing forces created by the deformation. The laws of classical mechanics, even the theory of relativity, do not allow a solid object to change shape without disintegrating, yet Atlas remained intact. Data from observatories in Chile, Japan, and South Africa all confirm the same thing. Its surface did not melt, did not crack, but changed at precise geometric rates, as if undergoing a controlled transformation like a machine, preparing to launch for a pre-programmed mission. I remember staring at the telemetry data display. Numbers, graphs, and geometric patterns appeared one after another, and I realized that this was not a random event. This was a process. And at that moment, the 11-minute energy pulse sequence that had been regular for hours suddenly stopped. All the emission signals disappeared. No more radiation, no more energy waves. Just absolute silence. It was as if the object had just turned off or switched to a different mode of operation. Over the next few hours, its shape stabilized, its instruments went silent, and an eerie silence fell over the entire observation system. None of us understood what had just happened. Everyone in the control room just looked at each other while the data continued to stream in, but blankly. We had no idea at the time that this moment of silence was a premonition, because 11 hours later, Atlas would do something no human on Earth was ever ready to witness. Then, just 11 hours before the fateful moment, the unthinkable happened. Atlas, after a long and absurdly stable period of silence, split apart. No explosion, no fragmentation, no scattering of debris or fields. It split in two along a single, precise line, almost pre-programmed, as if the entire event followed a carefully calculated blueprint. The two halves were exactly the same size, drifting away from each other in a state of perfect balance and control. Scientists, for ease of tracking, named them Object A and Object B. At first, both halves maintained stable orbits, moving in parallel, completely predictable. But then, the absurd happened. Object B abruptly changed direction. No orbital curvature, no deceleration, just a perfect right-angle turn, which no classical or modern mechanical law can allow. It accelerated suddenly, reaching a velocity far beyond all known physical limits, and then disappeared. Not because it was obscured or out of sight, but completely gone. For a moment, it was visible on every planetary monitoring system, optical, infrared, radio, even gravitational, and then a millisecond later, all signals were lost. NASA's deep space arrays immediately lost lock. The European Space Agency confirmed the same result. Military satellites with high-class signal analysis capabilities recorded the same phenomenon. Signal cutoff, no reflections, no after effects, no light scattering, no gravitational fluctuations. An object miles in diameter, moving faster than any known natural object, suddenly vanished from the universe as if it had never existed. No natural phenomenon could explain such a perfect disappearance. From the control centers, the whispers began to spread, heavy and haunting. Some suggested that Object B had not actually disappeared, but had hidden itself perhaps through light-bending technology, gravitational manipulation, or even teleportation to another dimension. The theory sounded like science fiction, but the data did not lie. We were forced to consider the impossible, because if Object B was truly capable of hiding completely from all human observation technology, then it was still out there, silent, and possibly watching us 4 hours after separation, as observatories around the world scrambled to locate the other half. A new anomaly emerged, not from the missing fragment, but from the one that remained. It began as a faint whisper in the radio spectrum, a small hum that initially seemed like background noise, but as the team at Arecibo cleaned up the signal, what emerged left everyone in the control room speechless. It wasn't random static, but structured communication. A repeating pattern of tones, rising and falling with mathematical precision, forming ratios identical to the prime numbers, the same kind of sequence that humanity itself had once sent into deep space on the Voyager Golden Record, except this time we weren't the ones sending it. Like for 31 minutes, the signal continued perfectly, purposefully, and directed to every major listening station around the globe, receiving the same signal, but only those aimed at 3I Atlas. Nothing else in the sky was making this pattern, okay? And this is where things got weirder. The signal wasn't beaming outwards, but beaming inwards towards the exact coordinates where Object B disappeared. Almost like a summons, the other half of the 3 atlases seemed to be calling out, as if sending instructions, or perhaps a wake-up call. Then exactly on the last pulse, all transmissions stopped, complete silence again. But only for a few minutes after the silence, then, deep space sensors picked up a faint, subtle, but unmistakable gravitational ripple, coming from a point nearly 2 astronomical units closer to Earth. And so, whatever disappeared was not only hiding, but moving and now heading toward us. As the gravitational readings stabilized, it became clear that the other half of Atlas 3, I was no longer missing. It was moving, and the first data showed that it was hurtling toward Earth. At first, the trajectory seemed innocuous, just a flyby, a gentle glide across the outer edge of the solar system. But as measurements continued, things began to change. The object's speed increased exponentially, and the small adjustments in its orbit were by no means random. Each change in velocity vector was precise, in full accordance with the laws of orbital mechanics. All the data pointed to the same conclusion. The object was not just moving, but orienting itself. Internally, NASA, Harvard, and the European Space Network tried to keep quiet. Officially, they just called it a gravitational anomaly. But in internal encrypted communications, the tone changed completely. No one mentioned the natural hypothesis anymore. Leaked recordings later confirmed something terrifying. The orbital patterns showed clear signs of active control from an unknown source. When the James Webb Space Telescope switched to observing the target with adaptive optics, the image it captured stunned the team. Instead of the rough, cratered surface of a comet or asteroid, what emerged was a faintly reflective surface, smooth as liquid metal. Its surface was perfectly symmetrical, with no dust, no cracks, no natural geological features. Spectroscopic analysis showed its composition did not match any known material in the solar system, and its near-perfect reflectivity suggested a purpose-built material. Then the next incongruous thing happened. 3I Atlas, traveling at millions of miles an hour, slowed down, a smooth, steady deceleration occurring precisely as it entered Jupiter's outer orbit No reaction thrust, no energy release, no sign of impact, just perfect deceleration, something. No law of physics allows without some form of advanced force control technology. From that moment on, every major agency in the world went silent. No more scientific publications, no press conferences. The last report our team received was an encrypted message broadcast from the Deep Space Network. Object B holding position, no further movement detected, awaiting instructions. The message was unsigned, uncoded, and ended with a strange string of characters that no one had yet deciphered. And what terrified us all the most was the final phrase, repeated 3 times in the original awaiting instructions. For nearly 6 hours, Object B, the missing half of the 3 Atlas objects, remained completely motionless near Jupiter's orbit. Not a single ray of light, not a single detectable emission. The silence was almost unnatural, like the entire solar system was holding its breath. Then, at exactly 03:00 UTC, everything changed. Every major radio telescope on Earth, from the Atacama Array to the very large array in New Mexico, detected a massive burst of electromagnetic waves. It was not random noise, but perfectly focused and synchronized with the position of 3I Atlas. The object that had been silent for hours suddenly came to life, emitting pulses at many different frequencies, gamma rays, microwaves, X-rays, all arranged in a pattern too complex to be a coincidence. At first it looked like chaos, but when the data was decoded into a spectrometer, a chilling discovery emerged. The waveforms contained symmetrical patterns that resembled blueprints or maybe diagrams. The pulses weren't just signals, but instructions, okay? And what was even more haunting was where those signals were going. They weren't beaming out into deep space, but straight into Earth. Within minutes of the transmission, several orbiting satellites stopped communicating. Even some defense systems initially dismissed it as a coincidence, a solar flare that could have been cosmic interference, but the timing was too precise. Each failure occurred exactly when the pulse hit Earth's upper atmosphere. Like Object B wasn't just sending a message, but activating something that was already there. NASA immediately sorted through all the data, pulled observatories offline, and rerouted telescope access, but a few independent astronomers kept their feeds open long enough to record one final area detail. Half of 3I Atlas remained near its original position. Object A had begun to glow a steady, deep light that flickered beneath its surface in perfect rhythm with the signals from its twin halves, one sending and one receiving, and together they were just beginning to wake up. Over the past 12 hours, both halves of 3I Atlas have begun moving again. Not randomly, not drifting, but with purpose. The glowing object A, which had been in its original position outside Mars, has begun to rotate slowly and purposefully. Object B, which is near Jupiter, is mirroring that movement perfectly. Every degree of rotation, every angle is exactly the same. It is as if the two pieces are in sync, aligned with something, Astronomers around the world noticed a strange coincidence that projected forward. The axes of both rotations were converging not in deep space, not near the sun, but directly along the orbit of the Earth. That's when the panic started. Private networks and encrypted forums lit up with leaks from inside the agencies. Someone at ESA claimed that the two halves were creating a common magnetic field, a giant electromagnetic structure linking them together. Another leak showed energy signatures that looked very similar to those seen in early particle accelerator experiments, but on a planetary scale. In other words, the two pieces of the three atlas were not just aligned, they were forming a system. And then something even stranger happened. At the exact moment the alignment began, the Earth's magnetic field recorded subtle fluctuations. Small but measurable compass readings, GPS accuracy dropped. Even migratory birds are also said to change direction mid-flight across the globe. The invisible balance of our planet seems to shake for just a moment, as if something huge and distant has touched the edge of our world's energy, a ripple on the invisible ocean of space. Now, as the connection is still being tightened, a question echoes through every lab, every observatory, every sleepless office at NASA, and beyond. You know what happens when the two halves finally connect? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future explorations. And please leave a comment sharing your thoughts. We love to hear from you below. Your support is what motivates us to continue bringing you more exciting journeys of space exploration. See you in the next video.